Law enforcement in China consists of an extensive public security system and a variety of enforcement procedures used to maintain order in the country, along with the courts and procuratorates. The country's judicial and public security agencies include the Ministry of Public Security and the Ministry of State Security, with the descending hierarchy of departments, bureaus, subbureaus, and stations. Hong Kong and Macau have separate law enforcement agencies and work together with mainland agencies to deal with crime between them. Overview. The national security system is made up of the Ministry of State Security and the Ministry of Public Security, the People's Armed Police, the People's Liberation Army, and the state judicial, procuratorial, and penal systems. The Ministry of Public Security oversees all domestic police activity in China. The ministry is responsible for police operations and prisons and has dedicated departments for internal political, economic, and communications security. Its lowest organizational units are public security stations, which maintain close day-to-day contact with the public. The People's Armed Police Force, with its 1.5 million personnel, is organized into 45 divisions. These include security police, border defense personnel, guards for government buildings and embassies, and police communications specialists. The Ministry of State Security was established in 1983 to ensure the security of the state through effective measures against enemy agents, spies, and counter-revolutionary activities designed to sabotage or overthrow China's socialist system. The ministry is guided by a series of laws enacted in 1993, 1994, and 1997 that replaced the counter-revolutionary crime statutes. The ministry's operations include intelligence collection, both domestic and foreign. Authorities have used arrests on charges of revealing state secrets, subversion, and common crimes to suppress political dissent and social advocacy. The Security Bureau is the local security department for Hong Kong. The paramilitary Hong Kong Police Force was established in 1844 and has 27,375 uniformed personnel and 4,885 civilian staff. Hong Kong Correctional Service was established in 1879 and has 6,659 uniformed personnel and civilian staff. Both services report to the Security Bureau. Secretariat for Security is the local security department in Macau. Macau Security Force is a force of 3,700 personnel and reports to the local security department. Judicial and legal system. In 2004, the National People's Congress amended the Constitution so that for the first time the protection of the individual was incorporated as a constitutional requirement. Specifically, Articles 37 and 38 recognize the freedom of the person and the personal dignity of citizens as inviolable. Although the 1997 criminal procedure law allows the police to detain a person for up to 37 days before release, a formal arrest, more vigorous court reviews have led to the release of thousands of unlawfully detained individuals. However, although the law stipulates that the authorities must notify a detainee's family or work unit of the detention within 24 hours, in practice timely notification is often disregarded, especially in sensitive political cases. Police sometimes hold individuals without granting access to family members or lawyers, and the trials are sometimes conducted in secret. Detained criminal suspects, defendants, their legal representatives, and close relatives are entitled to apply for bail, but, in practice, few suspects are released pending trial. The re-education through labor system allows non-judicial panels of police and local civil authorities to sentence individuals to up to 3 years in prison-like facilities. It has been reported that some detainees, usually political activists or dissidents, have been incarcerated in high-security psychiatric facilities for the criminally insane. Police and prosecutorial officials have been accused of ignoring due process provisions of the law and Constitution. Citizens have a constitutional guarantee of the right to use their own spoken and written language in court proceedings. Courts and procuratorates are advised by the Constitution that they should provide translations for any party to the court proceedings who is not familiar with the spoken or written languages in common use in the locality. The Constitution provides for an independent judiciary, but the courts are subjected to party and government policy guidance that influences the outcome of verdicts and sentences. Conviction rates in criminal cases in the early 2000s were approximately 90%, and trials generally were little more than sentencing hearings. Although most suspects in criminal cases are legally guaranteed the right to counsel, they often meet their appointed attorney only once before the hearing. At best, a defense attorney can obtain a reduction of the sentence. In many politically sensitive trials, rarely lasting more than several hours, the courts hand down guilty verdicts immediately following proceedings, and death sentences are often implemented within days of the rejection of an appeal. The legal system in Hong Kong is based in English common law and remains unchanged for at least 50 years from 1997. The legal system in Macau is based in Portuguese legal system, as well as some aspects of German law, Chinese law, Italian law, and some English common law. Like Hong Kong, the Macau's legal structure will remain as is for at least 50 years from 1999. Both SARs have separate judicial systems, but the National People's Congress is still the highest legal organ. Important organizations and roles. Ministry of Public Security. The Ministry of Public Security is the principal police authority. The ministry has functional departments for areas such as internal security, intelligence, counter-terrorism, police operations, prisons, and political, economic, and communications security. Subordinate to the ministry are provincial-level public security departments, public security bureaus and sub-bureaus at the county level, and public security stations at the township level. While public security considerations has a strong influence at all levels of administration, the police appear to wield progressively greater influence at the lower levels of government. The organization of local public security stations can be inferred from the tasks with which the police are charged. Generally, each station has sections for population control, pre-trial investigations, welfare, traffic control, a detention center, and other activities. The public security station, the police element in closest contact with the people, is supervised by the Public Security Sub-Bureau as well as by local governments and procuratorates. The procuratorate assumes direct responsibility for handling any case it chooses, and it supervises investigations in those cases it allows the public security station to conduct. A great deal of coordination occurs among the public security organs, the procuratorates, and the courts, so that a trial is unlikely to produce a surprise outcome. The public security station generally has considerably broader responsibilities than a police station in the other countries, involving itself in every aspect of the district people's lives. In a rural area, it has a chief, a deputy chief, a small administrative staff, and a small police force. In an urban area, it has a greater number of administrative staff members and 7 to 18 patrolmen. Its criminal law activities includes investigation, apprehension, interrogation, and temporary detention. The station's household section maintains a registry of all persons living in the area. Births, deaths, marriages, and divorces are recorded and confirmed through household checks. The station regulates all hotels and requires visitors who remain beyond a certain number of days to register. It also regulates the possession, transportation, and use of all explosives, guns, ammunition, and poisons. Another important police function is controlling change of residence. Without such controls, larger numbers of rural residents undoubtedly would move to the overcrowded cities in search of better living standards, work, or education. In April 1984, the State Council issued the tentative regulations governing People's Republic of China resident identity. The regulations, to be implemented over a period of years, required all residents over 16 years of age, except active duty members of the PLA and the People's Armed Police and inmates serving sentences, to be issued resident identity cards by the Ministry of Public Security. The picture cards indicated the name, sex, nationality, date of birth, and address of the bearer. Special police operations are employed agents, informers, and spies. Informers are used in surveillance of suspected criminals. The criminal laws in force after January 1, 1980, restricted police powers regarding arrests, investigations, and searches. A public security official or a citizen could apprehend a suspect under emergency conditions, but a court procuratorate was required to approve the arrest. The accused had to be questioned within 24 hours and his or her family notified of the detention, except in circumstances where notification would hinder the investigation if there was no way to notify them. Any premeditated arrest required a court procuratorate warrant. The time that an accused could be held pending investigation was limited to 3 to 7 days, and incarceration without due process is illegal. 2 officials were needed to conduct a criminal investigation. They were required to show identification and to inform the accused of the crime allegedly committed before he or she was questioned. The suspect could refuse to answer only those questions irrelevant to the case. Torture is illegal. The 1980 laws also provided that in conjunction with an arrest the police could conduct an emergency search, otherwise a warrant was required. They had the right to search the person, property, and residence of an accused and the person of any injured party. They could intercept mail belonging to the accused and order an autopsy whenever cause of death was unclear. In July 1980, the government approved new regulations governing police use of weapons and force. Police personnel could use the batons only in self-defense or when necessary to subdue or prevent the escape of violent criminals or rioters. Lethal weapons, such as pistols, could be used if necessary to stop violent riots, to lessen the overall loss of life, or to subdue surrounded but still resisting criminals. The regulations also governed use of sirens, police lights, and whistles. The relationship between the police officers assigned to neighborhood patrols and the people is close. Police officers live in a neighborhood on a long-term assignment and are expected to know all the residents personally. The task is not only to prevent and punish crime but to promote desirable behavior by counseling and acting as role models. This positive side of the police officer's duties was a constant responsibility, and a bond between the public security units and the people are strengthened annually by means of Cherish the People months, during which the police officer makes a special effort to be of help, especially to the aged and the infirm. People's Armed Police. The People's Armed Police is a paramilitary police force under the authority of the Ministry of Public Security and Central Military Commission. After a trial period in selected jurisdictions, it was officially established at the national level in 1983. In line with the general policy of reducing the size of the armed forces and transferring responsibilities to the civilian sector, the newly established force was formed from internal security units reassigned from the PLA to the Ministry of Public Security and from border, defense and firefighting units. In 1985 the PAP consisted of approximately 600,000 volunteers and conscripts, with a general headquarters at the national level and subordinate division-level provincial specialized units, regimental-level detachments, and battalion-level brigades. It retained its military organization. Current strength of PAP is 1.5 million personnel. PAP units are responsible for guarding party and state organizations and foreign embassies and consulates, as well as for responding to emergencies and maintaining law and order. Border defense units performed standard customs duties, such as inspecting vehicles and ships entering and leaving the country, and maintained surveillance against smugglers and drug traffickers. PAP firefighting units were responsible for fire prevention education as well as for fighting fires. PAP units at every level worked in close cooperation with the armed forces and other public security organizations. Chengguan. While there are no municipal government police departments, municipalities in China have uniformed, but unarmed inspection officers under the command of each municipality's City Urban Administrative and Law Enforcement Bureau, more commonly known as Chengguan, the Chinese abbreviation of the term. The agency is in charge with enforcement of urban management of the city. This includes local bylaws, city appearance bylaws, environment, sanitation, work safety, pollution control, health, and can involve enforcement in planning, greening, industry and commerce, environment protection, municipal affairs and water in large cities. However, since the establishment of the Chengguan in 2001-2002, there have been numerous cases of Chengguan in cities across China using excessive violence and abuse of power. In fact, there have been several incidents involving the Chengguan seriously wounding innocents and even beating people to death in public. These tragedies have given the Chengguan a notorious reputation, and the agency is generally disliked and loathed by the Chinese people. In recent years, efforts have been made to ameliorate the tense relation between the Chengguan and the general public, with mixed results. Police vehicles. Police cars in the mainland are white with a dark blue swoosh painted on the side. China does not have a uniform fleet buying program, so local departments typically buy from a variety of local dealerships. VW Santanas and Passats are the most common, but other makes and models are present as well. Hong Kong police vehicles have been influenced by British and Chinese schemes and still today retain them. Police in Macau use generic European designs patterns.